Welcome back, everyone, to another deep dive into the Lyst Index reports. This time we're looking at Q1, Q2, and Q3 of 2024. We're going to see what's hot in the luxury fashion market.
That's right. We're going to break down what's driving demand, see who's on top, and maybe even make a few predictions.
I love it. Before we get into specifics, I always like to get a lay of the land. So what's the overall picture of brand rankings across these reports?
Okay, well, the very top is really interesting. We've got kind of this battle royale going on between Miu Miu, Prada, and Loewe for that #1 spot.
Oh, interesting. A real fashion face-off. So let's talk Miu Miu first. They were really hot in early 2024. I mean, just everywhere.
Oh, they were on fire in Q1. They even hit #1. And get this, a huge 88% increase in searches from male shoppers.
88%. Wow. What were men so drawn to?
Oh, I think a lot of it
Yeah.
had to do with that New Balance collab,
Yeah.
especially the 530 SL sneaker. It was the hottest product of that quarter, like completely sold out everywhere you looked.
I remember trying to find a pair. Totally impossible.
Yeah, they were like gold dust. I think they really tapped into that whole 90s dad sneaker trend, but with, that Miu Miu spin on it.
Right. It felt very nostalgic, but fresh at the same time. And speaking of unexpected trends, we can't forget those Miu Miu swim briefs. You don't often see swimwear making it onto those hottest product lists.
True, it's not your typical like it bag or statement shoe, but it really shows you how Miu Miu understands what's happening right now. You know what people are responding to, and they just make it this must-have piece.
They're definitely not afraid to take risks.
Yeah.
So, okay, Miu Miu starts strong.
Hmm.
Then we see Loewe takes the crown in Q2. What was their strategy?
I think for them, it was this trifecta of,
Yeah.
creativity, craft, and just being super culturally relevant.
I love that. The trifecta of fashion success. Can you break that down a little?
Yeah. Sure so. Their designs are super creative,
Right.
always pushing boundaries, but they also have this emphasis on craft. Really high-quality materials. And then they're just everywhere. You see them at the Met Gala, Paula's Ibiza, even on the big screen in the movie Challengers. Plus, they had Zendaya, Jonathan Bailey, all these major stars wearing their clothes.
They were inescapable, I have to say. Those basket bags and the anagram tank top, absolutely iconic.
Right. You couldn't scroll through Instagram without seeing them.
It's like they just understood what people wanted. Okay, so Miu Miu, we've got the trends. Lowe's got the trifecta. But now, let's talk about the real star of this deep dive, Alaya. They make this incredible jump to 5th place in Q3.
Eliza are really interesting because they've managed to revitalize the brand, but they're also staying true to their heritage. It's a tough balance, but Peter Milius seems to have cracked the code.
It's like they're breathing new life into a classic. And speaking of comebacks, those fishnet ballet flats, they were huge in 2023, and now they're back on top in Q3 of 2024.
It's wild, right? They have this timeless appeal.
Right.
Plus, they actually sparked a whole trend for embellished flats. Like searches were up 43% in Q1.
Oh, wow. So they're influencing the market as a whole.
Definitely. And don't forget about those newer bags, like the Teckle and Liqueur.
Yeah.
Those are still driving a lot of demand.
So what's the takeaway here? For someone who maybe dreams of starting their own fashion brand, does heritage always win out?
I think what we're seeing, it's not just about being a heritage brand or being a newcomer. It's about understanding what your brand stands for, that DNA, and then finding creative ways to make it relevant today. Like take Alaya, for example. They've taken this classic aesthetic and made it feel fresh and modern.
It's like a reinvention.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes total sense. Now, we've talked a lot about these powerhouses, but we've also got some interesting new names on the list, like Ralph Lauren and Victoria Beckham.
Yeah, it's a good reminder, heritage brands, they're not going anywhere. They have that legacy and loyal customers. But then you have someone like Victoria Beckham, who's carving out her own space with a really fresh perspective. And then you can't ignore the impact of social media. Think about those Coach Tappy bags all over TikTok.
Oh, yeah. That was a brilliant marketing move. It feels like going viral can really make or break a brand these days.
Absolutely. It's like free advertising on a huge scale. But you have to be smart about it. Really tap into what's resonating online.
So we've got the big names, the comebacks, the newcomers. But to really understand how these trends are playing out, I think we need to look at some specific examples, any standouts that really illustrate all of this.
Let's talk about On Running. Their collab with Loewe on the Cloud Tilt 2.0 sneakers resulted in a 308% spike in searches.
308, that's insane. What do you think made that collaboration so successful?
Well, I think it was a perfect pairing, On Running, known for performance footwear, Low brings that high fashion edge. And together, They created a product that appealed to both athletes and fashion lovers.
And it really tapped into that whole athleisure trend.
Exactly. People want clothes that look good and perform well.
And it's not just about big brands collaborating either. Remember those high sport flared pants?
Oh, yeah, those were everywhere.
Became a total cult classic.
It just shows you, even smaller brands can make a huge impact
Yeah.
when they have a really desirable product.
So interesting to see how these shifts in consumer preferences are shaping the industry. But what does all of this mean for our listeners? Someone who maybe wants to start their own brand or just wants to be a more informed shopper.
I think the biggest takeaway is that brand loyalty, it's changing. People are more open to exploring new brands, especially if those brands offer something unique.
So it's not just about the big names anymore.
Not at all. It's about finding something that speaks to you.
Something different.
Exactly. And for anyone out there thinking of starting their own line, this is your time. There's so much opportunity to create something new and exciting.
That's really inspiring. So we've got authenticity, craftsmanship, cultural relevance, all driving success in this new landscape. And of course, we can't forget those viral moments. Social media can really change the game.
It's true, social media is a powerful tool, but it's all about building genuine connections, not just chasing likes.
So the fashion world is becoming more dynamic, more democratic. New players are challenging the old guard.
I agree. And that means you, as a consumer, have more power than ever to shape the trends. Your choices, your style, your voice, it all matters.
It's an exciting time to be a part of the fashion world.
It really is.
And with that in mind, I have a question for you.
Okay, I'm listening.
If you could design the next must-have fashion item, what would it be? And how would you ensure its success in this ever-evolving world of fashion?
Ooh, that's a good one. I'll have to think about that. But in the meantime, I hope everyone listening is also thinking about that question. What's the next big thing? What's going to capture our attention?
We'll be back soon with more insights from the Lyst Index reports. But until then, stay curious and keep exploring the world of fashion.
See you next time. Yeah, it's really interesting to see, how these brands are kind of navigating this changing landscape of fashion.
Totally. It's like what we were just saying, Elias Rise is a perfect example of how you can stay true to those roots but still appeal to a modern
Well,
audience.
right. Like they've found this incredible balance between heritage and innovation, and it shows in the numbers.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I was actually looking at the report, and Elias saw a 51% increase in searches this past quarter.
That's massive. And it's not just like one-hit wonders either. They've managed to place items in the hottest products list pretty consistently.
Right, like those fishnet ballet flats we were talking about.
Exactly. They were a top performer in Q2 2023 and made a comeback this quarter.
Talk about staying power. I'm curious, what do you think makes certain products achieve that, like cult classic status?
That's a good question. I think it's a mix of things, but design is definitely key. Like, it needs to be visually appealing, well-made.
Yeah, it has to look good.
But it's also more than that. There's an element of craftsmanship, quality, and even a sense of exclusivity.
And of course, we can't forget about celebrity influence.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Seeing, like, your favorite A-lister wearing something can definitely sway your shopping decisions.
Totally, it's like that fashion halo effect.
Exactly like Zendaya's impact on Low.
Oh yeah, she's a style icon.
Big time. And her association with the brand has definitely contributed to their success.
Makes you want what she has.
Right. But I think what's interesting is that it's not just about the big luxury houses anymore. The Lyst Index also shows this growing influence of like premium contemporary brands.
That's true. I feel like the fashion landscape is becoming more, diverse and inclusive. There's room for everyone.
Exactly. And I think for consumers, that means more choice, more ways to express their individual style.
It's not just about following the dictates of a few select brands.
Right. It's about finding pieces that speak to your personality, your values, your aesthetic.
Creating your own fashion narrative.
And it seems like consumers are becoming more discerning too, looking for brands that align with their values, whether that's sustainability, ethical production, or just a commitment to quality.
It's not just about the label anymore.
Exactly. It's about the story behind the brand.
So for brands that want to, thrive in this environment, what would you say is the key takeaway?
Be true to yourself, be transparent, and be passionate about what you do. Consumers are looking for more than just clothes. They're looking for a connection and experience a sense of belonging.
It's like building a community around your brand.
A tribe.
Yeah, a tribe of like-minded individuals who share your vision.
And in a world that's, increasingly saturated with information and choices, that sense of community can be really powerful.
It's what sets you apart, what makes you memorable.
It's what makes you stand out.
So we've talked about the power of heritage brands, the rise of contemporary labels, the influence of social media, and the importance of authenticity. But let's bring back to the data for a second.
Okay, let's look at some specific examples that really highlight these trends in action, like the On-Running and Lowy collaboration on the Cloud Tilt 2.0 sneakers.
Right. 308% surge in searches. That was a major success story.
Exactly. It really demonstrates the power of strategic partnerships, by combining On-Running's expertise in performance footwear with Low's luxury aesthetic. They created a product that appealed to a much wider audience.
And it was a perfect marriage of function and fashion.
Right. And it wasn't just about the product itself either. The collaboration generated a ton of buzz online and in the media, which further amplified its reach.
It reminds us that marketing and storytelling are still crucial.
Absolutely. And another example that highlights the power of a unique product is the success of High Sports flared pants.
Oh yeah, those pants were everywhere.
They became a cult classic practically overnight.
And it proves that you don't need a massive marketing budget to achieve success.
Sometimes all it takes is a well-designed, high-quality product that people genuinely love.
It's about creating something special, something that stands out.
And High Sport definitely did. That they captured a specific aesthetic, a vibe, a feeling that resonated with a certain part of the market.
And they tapped into the power of social media too.
For sure, they used platforms like TikTok to spread the word and generate hype.
It's amazing how social media can reach new audiences and build brand awareness.
It's a game changer.
And for consumers, it gives them a platform to discover new brands and products that align with their personal style.
It's a win-win situation.
So we've seen how strategic partnerships, unique products, and smart social media marketing can contribute to a brand's success.
But there's another factor that's becoming increasingly important in the fashion industry: sustainability.
That's right. Consumers are becoming way more aware of the environmental and social impact of their fashion choices.
They're looking for brands that are committed to ethical production, sustainable materials, and, reducing their carbon footprint.
And it seems like brands are listening.
They're implementing more eco-friendly practices and really promoting their sustainability initiatives.
It's a positive shift in the industry for sure.
It is. We're seeing a move towards more conscious consumption, with both brands and consumers taking responsibility for their impact.
It's not just about looking good anymore.
Right. It's about feeling good about what you wear.
And that sense of purpose, that commitment to making a difference can be really powerful.
It's about aligning your fashion choices with your values.
And that resonates on a much deeper level.
Definitely. So we've covered a lot of ground. The dynamics of brand rankings, the rise of contemporary labels, the importance of sustainability.
It's been a fascinating conversation.
It has. We've seen how strategic partnerships, unique products, savvy social media marketing, and a commitment to ethical practices can really contribute to a brand's success.
Yeah, it feels like sustainability is becoming less of a trend and more of like a core value.
Totally. It's not just a niche market anymore. It's really reshaping the whole industry.
And that brings us to something we haven't talked about directly, but it's been kind of woven throughout our conversation.
You're talking about storytelling.
Exactly. Every brand has a story.
It's about communicating those values, that vision, what makes you unique.
Inviting people into your world.
Yeah, creating a connection that goes beyond just the clothes.
Because in a world with so much information, a good story, it can make all the difference.
It's what makes you stand out.
Makes you memorable.
It makes people want to be a part of it.
And it brings us to another interesting point.
What's that?
It feels like fashion is becoming less about following trends and more about self-expression.
You're right. It's about curating your own style, mixing and matching, to create a look that's uniquely you.
And even the Lyst index data shows this shift.
Yeah, we're seeing a more diverse mix of brands and products becoming popular, which tells me people are being more adventurous.
They're not afraid to break the rules.
Yeah.
Mix high and low, vintage and new.
It's all about finding what feels authentic.
So for someone who's maybe feeling overwhelmed by all the choices out there, what advice would you give? How do you navigate all of this and find your own style?
I'd say don't be afraid to experiment, try new things, step outside your comfort zone, see what you like.
There's no right or wrong answer.
Exactly. It's about what makes you feel confident.
And don't be afraid to break the rules. Mix it up. Play with textures and colors.
Have fun with it.
Yeah, fashion should be fun.
And remember, confidence is the best accessory.
Love that. When you feel good, it shows.
It really does.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into high fashion, And all these trends,
What have we learned?
I think we've learned that fashion is powerful,
It's a way to express yourself,
to be creative.
to connect with others.
And in this ever-evolving landscape,
Let's embrace the freedom to experiment and to create a style that's all our own.
because in the end, it's not just about what we wear.
It's about how we choose to express ourselves and connect with the world around us.
That's a great note to end on. Thank you so much for joining us for another deep dive. We'll be back soon with more insights into the trends shaping our world.
Until next time.